Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome all to Conversations with Geoff. Yes, it's a Tuesday morning coming to you live from beautiful city of Houston. Man, I got to tell you, I don't know about you guys, but the weather has been tremendous for December, right? I mean, and for those of you that don't know, there are beaches in Texas. Yes, they're not the Florida beaches or the California beaches, but they're beautiful beaches, yet the same. And I had a chance to spend some time out Sunday on the beach. It was just wonderful, sunny day. So hope you're having a good time. And if you're in the cold right now, I don't want to rub it in a little bit, but woo-wee, no earmuffs for me this year, right? So anyway, hey, listen. Thank you all for carving out the time. And again, welcome to Conversations with Geoff. If you're hearing the recording later, make sure you participate and show some love in the chat, because we've got some good morning, Gerardo, and drop in your name if you're coming from Facebook so we know who you are. And man, we have some exciting times coming up. But again, I'm just going to introduce myself as a real estate investor. Many of you have known me as King of Rehabs, right? I got that name from other investors that saw us buy these scary houses that were almost falling over, and they would kind of laugh and wondering if we could really fix them, and then they come back, a little longer than it took a little longer than we wanted to sometimes, but the houses were finished and they were the most beautiful property on the block. So but that led to something that was really a gift for us, and it's about sharing and having impact and giving back, right? I mean, those same investors that were looking to start their business or were stuck in a big project that they couldn't get finished, they came to us for help, right? And that whole mindset about, oh man, I started this now, and you guys know the drill, right? Something starts going wrong, then the old messages from the past just start racing ahead and telling you all about how you're a failure and telling you all about you're not worthy, telling you how you're not capable. But man, I got to tell you, my life has been that way on and off. But from that, I've been able to share in those times with new real estate investors, help them get off of that overwhelm and fear and take over their business and have some success, right? And man, I got to tell you, COVID is such a beautiful thing, right? Because now, we all know when we're hearing about the whole, resignation revolution, and it reminded me of the time when, I was, in corporate America. I'm an old corporate America guy. I love corporate America. I had a great time, right? And I don't know that I would have stayed, even though I enjoyed what I was doing, because there was a voice calling me to do something else. But I stayed because I was afraid. I stayed because I didn't think I could really do it. I stayed because of all the noise for a long time. And I realized, later on, that people really only leave those jobs for two reasons. One, they're hating it so much they can't stand another minute and they have to go. Or two, they like their lifestyle and they have the things they want, but there's a calling in the gut saying, hey, you can do more. You have more to offer. Now's the time to do that. And the third one, I was the third one, right? I mean, how you get treated in your role is really important. And if you're not getting treated the way you should, don't take it anymore. And so that's my quick nugget for today, because some stuff happened anyhow. And I decided it was time for me to go, right? So if that's you, man, listen, look at COVID as a blessing, because there is no greater time than now to take that leap. There's no greater time, you real estate investors that are on the sidelines, to get back in the game, right? I mean, but because of what I've been talking about and the people that I've met over the last 18 months, we've really decided to expand our platform, right? To bring folks in here that can really speak to what's going on in the world, that can really give you some direction, give you some encouragement, give you, create some unity again. And then also, and most importantly, hope, right? I mean, our goal today is for you to be inspired, motivated, but also have some tools that you can take today and start to make a difference in your life. If it's real estate related, if it's leaving your job and chasing your business dreams, if it's a business, I said it earlier in one of my videos, if you started a business and now it feels like a job, hey, I had some of that feeling too. If that's what you're looking for, stay tuned, right? Because now this platform, and I'm going to get to our speaker, is going to talk about, and all are welcome, first of all. We don't care what religion you follow, however that is for you, because we're going to talk about family, community, health, and wealth, right? And listen to me, this young man that I'm going to bring here in a second is going to really kind of give you some things that will help raise your level of belief, and it's time for you to do something different, all right? And then, so let me just give you a quick background on him, and remember this: participate, show him some love, let us know where you're from, and all those things. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my friend, Mr. Drew, because I didn't know this until we met, but he's a Midwestern guy too, but he's been on both coasts and doing some tremendous things. And he started out, he's a serial entrepreneur, built some tremendous real estate businesses, and his online business, he's helped, built 3 different 7-figure businesses online since 2015, and helped clients do more than 10,000 digital courses. 10,000, man, that's a lot. So anyhow, but when you see this guy and you hear this guy, make sure you show some love, because he's here to deliver his path along the way. And with no further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my friend, Drew Burks. Let's bring Drew up here on the stage, baby. Let's get him up here. What's up, Drew?
What's up, man? How's it going, Geoff?
Oh, man, another beautiful day. I don't know if you heard me, man. The weather is gorgeous, beach weather here in December, baby.
I did hear you, and I did not know that there were beaches there. So I learned something new today.
Oh, you know what? From Galveston all the way down to South Padre, man. Yeah, like I said, I know you're in, one of those beaches that you'll talk about later, but it really is crazy. And it's only an hour from Houston.
Well, it's good to know. It's more of a reason for me to come visit, because I am absolutely a coastal beach person. So.
Yes, you are. Well, you always got a place to stay if you come this way, my friend. So
don't tell me that, buddy. Don't tell me that.
Also, it's on TV too now. So
I know. I better record this and make sure.
Oh man. Hey, well, listen, Drew, thanks again for taking the time out, man. And I didn't talk a lot about your history, just kind of some highlights of what you've done. And as always, we want to have folks in here that have compassion to speak to that audience, that person that's wondering if they can do some things, man. And so why don't you take a couple minutes and give us a quick background on where you grew up, and we'll talk a little bit. I'll stop you maybe when you get into some areas of challenges in your life, and we'll talk about that stuff.
Yeah, well, first of all, just thank you. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate that. And thank you for showing up. If you're watching us or listening to us, we appreciate you for doing that as well. Yeah, I'll give you the quick backstory. I'm born and raised in Bloomington, Indiana. So I am a Hoosier.
Hoosier.
Which I didn't know this until we just went back to Indiana for a wedding a couple, maybe 5 weeks ago. And I didn't know this, but my 2 boys, I have a 12-year-old boy and a 7-year-old boy, and they asked me, what is a Hoosier? And I said, I have no idea. So they Googled it, because that's what kids do now. Turns out that Hoosier was actually a derogatory term that was coined to talk about people in Indiana. And I said, it's so funny, because that really fits my spirit. Like I'm a lover, not a fighter. I love people. And it just fits like, it makes sense, because I don't get upset about things when people say it, right? And so it just seems like that would be like, if you made that derogatory, it seems like my personality, that would just be like, cool, that's a great nickname. We'll take it and run with it. So interesting fact about Indiana, but born and raised there. I'm a basketball lover. Like I love college basketball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's just personal about me. But, my journey really began, I've always been entrepreneurial. I mean, and like so many entrepreneurs, I had the lemonade stands and the fruit stands and the bike wash stands. And I've always been blessed with the ability to understand how to go make money.
Yeah. Yes.
And so I've been blessed with that. But, right out of high school in 91, I graduated in 91. So I know you call me a young man, but this white beard says different.
Yeah, man. Well,
yeah, we got that in common.
I see you over there, man.
So I'm 48. I'm not nearly as young as I would like to be. But I moved to South Florida, man, in 91. I had to get out of the snow. I'm proud to be from Indiana. Loved going back, but I hate the weather. So I came to Southwest Florida in 91. Was here till 99.
Wow.
Met my now wife in 96 here in Southwest Florida. Been with her since the day we met. So it's an incredible, love romantic story filled with all the ups and downs. She went to San Diego in 99 without me. I actually road tripped out with her. And I always tell the story this way: is I road tripped out with her because who wouldn't want to go to California?
Exactly.
And I wanted to make sure she was leaving because we were on the outs. And we took 2 weeks to get to California, but it backfired, as they say, because I fell in love with her all over on that road trip. But I had to fly back to Florida from San Diego 12 hours after we got there. And so the 2-week road trip, I fell in love with her. The 12 hours we were in San Diego, I fell in love with San Diego. So 6 months later, I moved to San Diego full time. That was in 99. We got married in 03 and started our family in 09. And that's kind of the short, personal side of how I got to where I'm at now.
So let me ask you this, man. Were you really stalking your wife when you went out there, man? If we were to ask her, were you stalking her?
She'll tell you she was going to San Diego to get away from me too, probably.
Oh man, that's great.
She tells it like I let him road trip out here with me, so I have to drive alone. Now I can't get rid of him. He moved in. That's why I told you, be careful if you say I got a place to stay. I might just be there 20 years from now.
Oh man, well, I'll change my address in the meantime. Thank you for that.
Right. So that that's kind of the personal side of things. But I will tell you, when I got to San Diego, and I think this is a story for everyone, because you mentioned it, we want to motivate you, we want to inspire you. Can do whatever you want, and COVID has been terrible, but it's been an incredible blessing in so many ways. But what happened when we moved to San Diego, I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any real skills. I was managing apartment properties, which we can come back to in a moment, but I was managing apartment properties in Southwest Florida. And in Southwest Florida, they pay different than they do in California for that skill set. And in Florida, you get free housing, you get typically commissions on leasing, so you can make really good money. And California wasn't that way. There was no housing provided. There was no commissions. It was a flat minimum wage job. And so it wasn't going to support the cost of living in California.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
So I was in a coffee shop one night. It was called the Living Room in Hillcrest, San Diego's neighborhood. And my wife and I, or my girlfriend at the time, we would walk down from our apartment and we'd go down and play chess and have coffee in the evenings, have dessert. And I noticed these people sitting at this little kiosk, and they were putting money into this machine like you would a vending machine. And this was 1999. So we didn't all have smartphones there. Most of us didn't even have a home computer at that point. And people were getting on the internet. And I'd never seen anything like this before, Geoff. So the short version of this story is I asked people, what are you guys doing? Like, well, we're on the internet. I'm like, well, I don't know, what's that mean? And they're telling me. So I called the number on the side of the machine. There was a number there, like if you lost money or the machine was broken. And I called, and this gentleman answered, and his name was Eric. And he was like confused by my call, and I was confused by why I was calling. I just wanted to know, like, what is this machine? And so I always remember he said, hey, if you're looking for a job, we're not hiring. And I said, well, I'm not looking for a job. I should have been, but I wasn't. What's the machine do? Can I find out about this? Can I come and talk to you? And like, no, we're not hiring. So the next morning, I drove down there. It was a 25-minute drive from Hillcrest to Sorrento Valley in San Diego, if anyone knows the area. And I was there when he showed up. And when he parked, and he said, can I help you? I said, yeah, my name's Drew. I'm looking for Eric. He was like, oh, that's me. And he was the first one in, of course. He was the owner. He's like, what are you doing here? I was like, well, I told you I wanted to know about these machines. Like, what do you do and how do you work? And so anyway, I promised a short version. So he let me in. He told me we're not hiring. Let me in for like 5 minutes, told me I had to leave. The next day I came back. And so he said, look, we're not hiring, but I'll let you do this. I will let you go sign up locations. Here's a one-page contract. If you can go get me some locations, I'll pay you $500 a location.
Wow.
And I said, great. I'll be back. So I came back a few days later with 7 signed contracts. And, if you can do the math, 500 times 7 is $3,500. He was like, hey, we
have a seat.
That's what happened, Geoff. He said, you're the new customer service director.
Yeah.
And so that was the beginning of a series of stories that got me to this point. But I always tell people that story because, if you want to work, right? If you want to work, you can just go out there and do it. And what I love about entrepreneurs, and honestly, what I love about real estate agents is that realtors do a lot of work for free.
Yeah.
Right. They go find properties. They look at listings. They do things. They drive neighborhoods. They get paid on the back end when there's a commission. And so I think that's why I transitioned nicely into real estate after that. But, if you want to work, there's opportunity. There's no shortage of opportunities. There's shortage of hustle.
Yeah. Right? There you go. Say that one again.
There's no shortage of opportunity, but there's a shortage of hustle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I want to speak to the hustle point for just a second before we move on.
Sure.
Because, you showed up and what was really going on in your head when you were thinking, I'm going to go down there and see this guy and I'm going to show up until, there was something there about you. What was that?
It's probably delusion and insanity. But there was curiosity. I was so, and it seems crazy now because we all got a smartphone.
Yeah.
But it seemed crazy to me, like that these people were waiting in line to get their 15 minutes for $1 or whatever it was to be on the internet. Like I was completely baffled. And because I've always been entrepreneurial, I was like, my brain was going, who's doing this? How'd they come up with this idea? Put these kiosks, what kind of revenue does it make? And I was just curious. It was probably a compulsion because I'll be real honest. I didn't think I'm going down there tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just went down there. And then I certainly didn't think, well, I'm going to keep going down there, but I just did it.
Yeah.
And, and to this day, I'm still have a relationship with that gentleman, despite the fact that 9 months after he gave me a job there, he pulled up in a brand new Ferrari and told us that he sold the company and we all were terminated at the end of the week.
Oh, well, he'll get his later on.
Yeah, I said, good for him. He took the opportunity. I took the opportunity as well. I contacted all the customers that had these kiosks.
Gotcha.
And I said to them, hey, I have an extensive background managing apartment properties. I know that you're going to raise your rent by a percentage every year, and likely you're not going to do anything additional for the tenants. How about we install internet? And I know you're interested because you have these kiosks and these coffee shops. Let's install internet in your apartment properties to justify their rent. Now, not all of those customers had apartments, but that was my pitch. Let's install them in apartment properties.
Yeah.
One of them, his name was Tony. He actually owned about 500 or 600 apartments in San Francisco. So he said, I love the idea, thought about doing it. I don't really know how it worked, but why don't you fly up to San Francisco and let's have lunch and see if we can work it out. So I flew up there, me and my good buddy Joe, who I'm still business partners with to this day, 20 some years later. We flew to San Francisco. We missed our flight, so we got there late. So Tony wasn't waiting to pick us up. He was annoyed. He said, if you guys still want to do the meeting, you got to get here. So we took a taxi because there was no Uber.
Right.
This was 01. We took a taxi. We met him at a deli. We pitched our idea. And he, on a napkin to this day, I still have this napkin, he incorporated and he put $1 million into the bank. And we started a company called Pipeline DSL. And we got the contract for his apartments and we incorporated. So there were 3 of us in the company. We had $1 million. And then we went, and within 9 months, the next 9 months, we signed up 12,000 apartments nationwide. Raised another 1.5 million in funding. And we're going to do IPO, but you may remember the tech bubble burst shortly after that.
Yeah, so, I was just thinking about that. Yeah. So I just want to interrupt you for a second to talk about one thing in that whole journey. I mean, and related to real estate or related to leaving your job and starting your own business, being resourceful. I mean, you had 2 choices. You could have said, oh, poor me, or you could do what you did. Right.
Yes.
And you turn, a setback into a setup. So, so those of you that are hearing this message later or with us now, I mean, this is what we're talking about, right? I mean, and you guys have the ability to do the same thing, right? I mean, so kudos to you, my friend. I mean,
well, man, I appreciate you sharing that, certainly with the audience, and I'd love to take full credit, but I will just share this other piece of this. When Eric told us we were all fired, I did know to contact the customers. I did do that, but when I left, I did stop at this gentleman's name was Don Cook. He was my bookkeeper at the time, and he was very entrepreneurial. And he said, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Man, I don't know. I need a job. Like I'm out here. I just came out here. I'm living with my girlfriend. I don't want to be a deadbeat. I need a job."
right.
And he said to me something I've always held on to, and it's something I think I want to share because the audience needs to hear. Is he said to me, why are you looking for a job?
Mm.
And I said, well, because I need money. That's why. I was so annoyed. Like, I just told you, because I need money. And he said this to me, he said, so let me understand. So you got a job at this place. They just laid you off. And now you're going to look for another job. So he said, are you telling me that you are going to put the trust in someone else? Are you going to put more trust in someone else's hands to provide for your family than you're going to put in your own hands?
Oh.
And from that moment, I've never looked for another job.
Wow. The angels that come along in our life if we hear the message, right?
Yeah. Now, there should have been some times I should have looked for a job because I'm an entrepreneur. So,
gotcha.
Right, it hasn't always been uphill, but
yeah, I got you.
I can't let go of that, right? Who am I going to trust more than myself?
So that kind of leads me to the next question, because, and let's just talk about, with COVID and everything else and the digital platforms and tie it into that whole thing about no longer going into a job seeking mentality, but to chase the opportunities that we've all been given, right? Let's talk about what technology will allow us to do in today's world. Because that kind of was a perfect segue. Tell us what you're doing, because you're doing it. You're out there doing it, man. So talk about that for us.
Yeah, entrepreneur, you don't have any choice but to do it every day, right? We love it. It's some people say it's a curse. My family was teasing me just because Thanksgiving, right? We just passed Thanksgiving. I actually had podcasts scheduled for Thanksgiving, the day of Thanksgiving. And my family was like, what are you doing? Like, it's Thanksgiving. But because of technology, I'm connected to people all over the world.
Yeah, my wife did that too, right? She was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and there's a news flash. We don't live in the local economy anymore. So you get to do business with people all over the world. And because of that, there's no real holiday, right? Because everyone celebrates different holidays. Like a bunch of people in Canada jumped all over me when I said on Facebook about Thanksgiving. They're like, it was last month.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's tomorrow. And they're like, no, it was last month here.
Yeah.
So I love technology and COVID. My sister just texted me 5 minutes ago saying she just got tested positive for COVID. So I get it's real. We had it as a family a couple of months ago. And so I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone. It's terrible. But the blessings of it, right, is that it has forced a lot of people to go online who maybe didn't know they could. It's caused a lot of people to have time they didn't have before.
Yeah.
It's shifted priorities involuntarily.
Yeah.
And we do live in this world where you can connect. Like, you're in Texas, I'm in Florida. We can connect. We can spend face-to-face time together. If you're watching or listening, you can be anywhere in the world and connect with us here today.
Yeah.
And I think what, for me, right, you said chasing jobs or opportunities, is I even see in entrepreneurs is sometimes they chase money when really what they want to do is chase the need.
Yeah.
Because if you chase the needs, you can create solutions.
Yes.
If you can create solutions, you can add value to people. And that value sometimes can be exchanged with money, right? Because money's the tool that we've all deemed as like, well, this is what we're going to exchange for.
Right.
And so, I go back to like that story about the kiosk, is I wasn't really chasing the money. I was just trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
And I just, didn't have the wherewithal, I guess, to be smart enough not to do that. But you get this ability. Like, I'll tell you another example. So I just recently launched a podcast. I don't really know how to launch a podcast.
Yes.
I don't know how to do most of it, but what I do know how to do is have a conversation with people, and I love people. And I sent out emails asking people to be on it, and people said yes. And from those, I had great conversations and opportunities. And that's much like, just to bring this full circles, that was really no different than going down to the business with the kiosk.
Yes.
Right? It was that initiative, that resourcefulness, that desire to just be in action.
Yes. And not worry so much about whether you have the abilities or the experience or the connections. It's something that resonates with you, and you take action.
That's right. Because I can almost always guarantee you I don't have the skills or the expertise, but I just have the delusion to say I can do it. So
I like that word delusion, and for me, it's. I used to think it was just I was oblivious to all of the pitfalls that I'm about to enter into on something I don't know anything about.
Right.
Like when I started leaving corporate America and starting my first business, I know it's not about me, but I think it resonates with what we're talking about. I didn't know what I was getting into. I got some people around me to help me, but we started a high-level insulation company, Drew, and I didn't, it's not just putting, like you see on TV, you had to have science, understanding, and all that. I didn't have, but like you said before, man, figure it out along the way is what I heard you say.
Yeah. I mean, that's you don't have a choice, right? I mean, when another business I did that I didn't tell you about, and it was it was the kiosk business. And then it was the pipeline DSL. So that was the company I mentioned where I raised the millions of dollars. Part of that, we went down to downtown San Diego, and we secured the building access for the high-rise towers, so the luxury residential towers. And they were existing buildings, condos, people were living there. But through that, I negotiated the roof rights to put the antennas on the roof of the building so I could distribute wireless internet downtown. Gotcha. And I did that because I could pay to get all the bandwidth into one building, send it to the roof, and then distribute it wirelessly. And that would allow me to do a second and third and fourth building for way less cost. But here's what happened. One of the buildings was called the Renaissance. It was 2 towers, 221 or 222 units total. It was brand new construction. And because I got a big mouth, I said, well, we could just do this whole wireless thing. And we got the contract, Geoff, but what that contract included that I wasn't smart enough to figure out was we had to pull all of the Cat 5 cable from the basement in the garage through the risers to the units, to the outlets. And so my buddy Joe and I, we hired an electrician, he moonlighted, and we pulled all of the Cat 5 cable through all the risers. We connected all 221 units, every little jack, crimped the little ends on. And I got to tell you, I had no idea what I was doing. I'd never done that before. There was no YouTube at that moment to go Google how to do that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it again.
Well, can I say something though?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if people caught that. First of all, there's some question about the record behind your head. That's the 2-comma award. We'll talk about that there. The chat was asking what that was. But, you said something. I hope they heard that. You have a big mouth. And from one person having a big mouth to another, I got it. In other words, what you said was you heard an opportunity, you raised your hand.
Yes.
I can do it. So, you investors out there that are looking for opportunities to expand your real estate business or get involved in a company, you want to start your own company, raise your hand. Right? That's what he just said. I mean, I was thinking about my own self in those different times, man. You're raising your hand, and then you had to do the work. And that work that you talked about, that was a lot of work.
And that was probably the last manual labor I've ever done. It may have been the first manual labor I'd ever done. It was
first and last.
but to your point, Geoff, it literally, if that's the right word, was raising my hand, because the way that started was after I went and met Tony and we got the money, all that. I went downtown San Diego. They had a homeowners association meeting. Because, in these, real estate people know what this means. But when you have a private community or planned community or condo tower, there's an HOA.
Yep.
And so these HOAs for the different buildings would get together in a downtown HOA meeting. And I went there. I wasn't invited, but I went there and I sat in the audience and I raised my hand. And I said, I have something to ask. Do you guys have high-speed internet in your condos? And they're like, no. And I said, well, I'd love to provide it. And they're like, okay, go away. So the meeting ended. A month later, I got an email that said, hey, we heard you. We have 4 companies coming to present the solution for how they can provide high-speed internet to these condo buildings.
Wow.
We'd like you to be one of those 4 people.
Wow.
So I went down there. I was competing with Time Warner and a couple other big companies. If you don't know Time Warner, it's like the major cable company.
Yeah.
And I went there, and they had fancy presentations and posters, and I had just me and a notepad. But I raised my hand. I said, I want to present. They let me present. I said I could do it. I just said, yes, 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 I can do it. When they said, no, we can't, I said, I'll do that too. And so after the meeting, one of the board members came up to me. His name was Rob. We're still great friends to this day. And he said, man, I love you. I love what you're about. Let me help you get into this building.
Wow.
He let me get in. And then after that tech bubble burst and my big investors left, he then came in as a secondary investor and funded it.
Wow.
So it was literally going, I raised my hand. I have an idea.
Man, boy, those of us out here on the call know what he says when he says, those of you that haven't, that you want to raise your hand, you hear the results, take that chance, take the risk. Okay, worst thing that can happen to you is that it doesn't work, and then you do something else. But the experience that you gain from doing that, man, and the connections that people, I just want to share something. People don't understand that when you make a commitment to life and do certain things, the universe shows up and puts people in your life, like this gentleman, to help you take the next step. So I really, really want to just, applaud you for that. And I want to give you a chance to, because, beautiful thing about this is I have an outline, but we just follow the flow, and you've been really laying some really powerful nuggets. But I want to give you a chance to talk about the experience becoming part of the True Comma Club.
Yeah. Well, it was not much different than those stories. I mean, when I recite these stories, I can see there's been a common thread or commonality or behavior or characteristic in them. So the True Comma Club actually happened in end of 2014.
Okay.
I got contacted by Joe. I mentioned Joe earlier. He helped me pull the cable up the risers. And he had contacted me and said, hey, I have a good friend and buddy, and his name's Josh, and we're running the ads for a coach who is running a live in-studio event. So this is middle of 2014. And we need someone to run the automation. And I was running Infusionsoft email marketing campaigns for businesses at the time as a consultant. So Infusionsoft is now called Keep. It's just an email marketing automation tool.
Okay.
But that's what I've been doing as just kind of a consultant, kind of post real estate. And so I said, sure. So I went in and I ran the automation for that. And it was incredible, Geoff. It was like being on an Oprah Winfrey studio. Like she had a stadium seating with guests, the couch or the sofas with guests there, television crew. It was a teleseminar. People were calling in all day and interacting. It was incredible.
Wow.
So after the event, I said, Sonia, incredible event. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. Do you mind if I ask, how much money did you make today? She said, well, probably made about $70,000, $75,000. And I was like blown away. Never seen anyone make that kind of money in a day. Wow. So then I asked the natural question next, which is, what did it cost you to put this on?
Yeah.
She was like, probably about $50,000. I said, so you probably netted $20,000, $25,000. She's like, yeah, that's about right. So I said to her, hey, why don't we take the course and the recordings and let's sell them. Let's use a webinar to sell them. Now, I'd done a few small webinars in my time, but she had never. So she said, let me think about it. I kept bugging her and bugging her and bugging her for about 30 days. Finally, she complied or agreed, probably just so I'd leave her alone. And we did a webinar. I helped her script it, built a funnel for it. Josh ran the ads, spent $5,800 or $6,800 in ads, and we made $220,000 in 10 days. So she said, hey, you're my new best friend.
There you go. So you make
right?
friends.
Because spend 50, make 70, or spend 6 and make 220 was a clear.
Kind of a no-brainer, man.
So that was really how I got into digital at this level. I said I'd done a few webinars and sold a couple other products, and made 6 figures over a course of a year, but never in a weekend or a week ever.
10 days.
10 days, $220,000. So after that, she went on vacation, which maybe you'd expect, but she came back and she said, hey, let's partner 50-50. And you guys run the traffic, the funnels, and help me come up with offers, and I'll be the face. And I'll create the content. So we did that. We went on to do $3.6 million in 22 months. It was incredible.
Wow.
It was a great 22 months.
Yeah.
And so, it's really that same, right? I saw an opportunity. I opened my big mouth, took a chance. It worked out. Thank God. After 22 months, though, something interesting happened that is adversity. She made probably a great business decision, not one that I appreciated, but she said, hey, it doesn't make sense for you guys to get 50% anymore.
Wow.
So you can either run the ads for $3,500 a month, or you can get out of the picture. So we got out of the picture. And that may not have been the smartest thing, but we did. We had a little ego. And then we just started doing it for other people. Now, in recent years, Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, they kind of coined the phrase knowledge broker, which is a great descriptor of what I was doing from 2014 to recently. And in fact, that's how I got this award. This award was a good friend of mine, wasn't at the time, but he was actually a client for a company I was consulting. A few months after they stopped working together, and a few months after I'd stopped working with that client, he called me and said, hey, I've got an obscene amount of time and money into this, and it's not working. Can you help me? And I said, sure, let me look at it. I looked at it. I said, here's what's good. Here's what we need to fix. Here's how we're going to measure it. And 10 months later, we got this award for, $1 million in sales with one funnel in 10 months. So,
wow. And you also were on stage with Russell Brunson?
Well, I wasn't on stage with Russell, but that's where we got this award. So ClickFunnels has an event every year called Funnel Hacking Live.
Okay.
And we went to the Funnel Hacking Live 2019, which is where we got this. And so every year, anyone who has done more than $1 million in one funnel within a year gets to go up on stage and get one of these, get their photo taken with Russell and get this award. So
congratulations on that, man.
Thank you.
Once again, raising your hand, standing in, facing whatever's going to come along, and fearless.
Yeah, well, resourceful, right? So I know you mentioned that earlier, but Tony Robbins always says it's never a lack of resources, but a lack of resourcefulness. So, again, a second $1 million business wasn't my business. I didn't create the content. I didn't create the course. I just saw the opportunity. And I knew how to execute the opportunity. But I didn't do it without me, right? I mean, you can see right up there, it has Dr. Ian Hoffman on there, and it's got my name on there, and we did it together. But side note, that guy, he's an incredible guy. He created a course to help doctors eliminate their student loan debt. And although it's great, he loves to tell how his programs helped erase almost $80 million in student loan debt. What he and I are most proud about is he does that by showing the doctors how to create a charity to provide healthcare to families in the community that can't afford healthcare. So on average, in 2019, they were providing healthcare to over 10,000 families every single month that couldn't afford healthcare. That's what we were proud about.
Wow.
So again, we chased a need, the money came.
The money came, and you not only impacted your income, but you impacted lives.
Right.
I mean, and that's at the end of the day, that's what this whole conversation is based upon.
We couldn't have done it pre-digital, I'll tell you that.
Couldn't have done it pre-digital, and And I'll tell people all the time, we're not going back to the way things used to be. You know, I mean, I said it earlier and I want to say it again. Are you still planning on living in a world that no longer exists? You know, not only financially, but personally and family wise, the opportunities that we have now to expose our young to being producers of social media versus consumers of social media, Drew. You know, and I mean, one of my mentors' daughter was 18 years old, and she's a 7-figure income earner.
That's amazing.
And started, you know, at 12 years old through social media with guidance and direction. So, man, I mean, this has been amazing. You know, just having a conversation. I love this. We're kind of winding down, so I always ask, what is it, man, that, you know, that gut wrenching thing that you want to share that almost made you throw in the can, and just say, I'll go back and get a job? Was there ever one thing like that came along that you can speak to, or?
There probably should have been a bunch of them, because, you know, the road as an entrepreneur is not always easy, and sometimes it can be lonely.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the messages I love to share with people is that, and I'm not on a pedestal, I'm not even that good at it, but I acknowledge it, is that not to react, right? Because I'm an emotional person. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and it's easy for me to want to react to everything, right? Things happen, you know, life gets in the way. You get fired from a job, you know, you get in a fight with a loved one.
Yeah.
You know, Thanksgiving dinner goes sideways with the family, right? Is not to react and to come from a position of love, I think. You know, that's how I try to live by. And now you know, from a business side of things, I try to help people realize that you can't go back to the life. You can't live a life that doesn't exist, like you just said, and you can't go back to 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You can just adapt and move forward. And I would say that, you know, to bring it back even to real estate, is that you get a choice. You can spend your time or invest your time. You can be a consumer, as you say, or you can switch to being a producer. And the producers are the wealthy. The consumers generally are the poor. And to bring that into your business is to, you know, look at what you're doing every day. Are you building assets, or are you creating jobs for yourself? And that is something, Geoff, that I love to share with people, because I made that mistake for damn near, I mean, God, I mean, it could have been a decade, where it's easy to trade your time for money, right? It's really easy to create this job that gives you some flexibility, that lets you work when you want, and you can get paid really well at that. I mean, you can build a multiple six-figure business pretty quickly, trading your time, but it's a trap. And if you don't see that it's a trap, you'll find yourself stuck in that business with no way out. And so I'm right now at 48 going, God, I wish I would have reminded myself of this years ago, right? It's like, don't create a job, like build a business, build an asset that I always say at midlife, right? So midlife crisis. I'm in a midlife crisis now, not the one that needs a red Corvette. But the one that finds myself going, what happens if I die tomorrow? What's my wife and kids going to do? Because they're not me, right? I can't be you. You can't be me. They can't be me. And that has triggered this compulsion with, like, or this, you know, compel, whatever the word would be, is like, I'm obsessed with everything I do has to be an asset that can outlive me. So.
And you know, that won't, in my opinion, won't come about without seeking ways to serve, you know, and creating communities of like-minded folks that, you know, like you said with the docs, you know, the impact that they had, you know, on that, you know, and bringing communities together and forming communities that all have the same purpose, which is finding a need and fixing a need, you know. I mean, great stuff, man. So let the world know how we can get a hold of you, man. Drew, please.
It's super easy. I make it easy for you to get in touch with me. It's just my name. So you probably see it on the screen there. It's just Drew Burks. So you can do at facebook.com/Drew Burks, Instagram @Drew Burks. I make it really easy. And I do so because years ago, I was helping realtors set up websites. And I'll never forget this. I had a group of realtors say to me, should I put my phone number on my website? And I said, well, only if you want someone to contact you. I mean, so I try to make it as easy as possible for you to get in touch with me. So it's just my name anywhere. If you're on Discord or Instagram or TikTok, it's just my name.
Just your name on that one. And what are you launching? I see you got something in here. Why don't you tell us what you got coming up?
Yeah, my new theme's the 22 for 22 mastermind because we're going into year 2022.
Right.
It's this particular mastermind is exclusive to 22 people. And it's all about what I was saying earlier, is it's showing those 22 people how to build what I call digital cash flow assets, AKA websites, funnels that produce consistent, predictable, and dependable revenue, semi-passive, right? I'm not nothing's 100% passive, but the key for it was is it has to be able to generate revenue without me or without you. And it has to be something that they could sell should they want to.
And that's the whole thing around creating wealth, and the wealth mentality, is that enterprise that runs without you and makes money whether you're there or not.
And
I love that.
It's important because I want to, my parents split up when I was 2. So I had all this split family. And for me, it was when we had our oldest, who's 12 now, I made a commitment. That's when I started to get out of the real estate. I said, I'm going to be at home. I'm going to be present. I'm going to see them walk and crawl for the first time. I'm going to go to the sports. I'm going to try to be the best dad. I know I'm not. I know I make mistakes every single day, but I'm present.
Yes.
And so
that's kind of what you're doing in Florida now. I know you were kind of talking a little bit about it, and we're going to wrap it up. But you have being what you just said, being present in their life, you have the opportunity now to take them back and forth to school, and it burns up a lot of gas, but
killing me.
Creating memories though, right?
It is. I mean, every morning, because we have to leave here at like 6:50, 7 a.m., which is early for us. Kids got to get up around 6, and every morning I post them on my Facebook every now and again. The sun is beautiful coming up, and yesterday it was so foggy out that was almost like an eclipse. So you could see the perfect circle of the sun, but you could look right at it, because the fog was covering it.
Yeah.
So that is a good memory. In the morning, we get to see some cool stuff that we didn't get to see, if we're sleeping in bed. So it's all good. We love it. And it's just important. We only got 24 hours in a day. We might as well enjoy the ones we have. So
come on, man. Say that again.
Only got 24 hours in a day. You might as well enjoy them.
Yes, sir. And you've been a big part of enjoying this day, man. So as always, all good things must come to an end, though.
Yes.
It's been a tremendous time chatting with you, and really looking forward to 2022 and having you back here again. And folks, look them up. Drop some comments in the chat. When you hear this later. And Oliver, thanks for showing up. You got some folks in there. Thanks, Drew. Great job. Congratulations on the award. Great insights and things like that. So appreciate you serving, my friend. And we'll be in touch. All right.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great day, guys.
All right. Be
All
back
right,
with us. See you, buddy. Whoa. Hey, listen, everybody. Thank you for blowing up the chat and participating today and supporting Drew. And thanks for the great interview comments and that. And really, I want to leave you with this. Drew said a lot of things, but one thing that was really consistent in there was, he saw something and he took action. So I encourage you, if you're in that position and the job is driving you crazy, reach out to us and we can help you find ways around that. Or your business is not moving where you want it to be and you're really thinking about getting a job. Oh, don't do that. Whatever it might be, remember, this is a community that focuses on family, community about unity, encouraging, and hope, and health and business. So, look, next we've got another session coming up I wanted to mention before we leave with Renee Williams, a young lady here in Houston who was growing a thriving real estate investing business, and a mom and a wife, doing some incredible things. And that's on 12/21, Renee Williams. And our goal, again, I'm going to keep saying it, is to inspire, motivate each time we show up. So we appreciate everybody's support. Check out the link to get information on me, transcendingcompanies.com. For your real estate investors looking for some training and education programs, go to Mastermind. We have a private Facebook group, Transcending Lives of New Real Estate Investors. And also for those of you that are really looking for a place to kind of reset, figure out where it is that you want to go, and your family, everything else, Stronger Together is another Facebook group that we offer. And listen, appreciate everyone's time today. Make sure you drop Drew some love when you hear this message later on. And there is no better time for you to make a difference in your life. I believe it's your time. I believe you can do this, whatever this is. And I believe we can help. Take care. Appreciate everybody's support. See you on the next conversation with Geoff. Bye-bye.